When I first started this YouTube channel, I made a video discussing bubbles, and I kind of went into detail of the stages of a bubble and how Pokemon tied into that. But in today's video, we're going to discuss the other side. The side that some of us just don't want to face, we don't want to accept. What if we're not in a bubble? We're going to go into that a little bit more in detail today. If this is your first time to the channel, I'm Cody from Sellig's Pokémon Market. Before we get started, do me a solid. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. That way you're notified every time I upload new content. Now let's get right into this video. So before we get into this, I just want to touch base on the 4 stages of the bubble. I'm not going into extreme detail because I already have a video that's actually packed full of information. You should definitely check it out if you haven't already. So there are typically 4 stages of a bubble that occur. And it starts out with stealth. It's the stealthy investors. It's people that see an opportunity for growth in an asset. These are going to be the first people in and probably the first people out when it comes to a bubble. These are the people that are actually going to probably make money in many cases. Then it moves on to the second stage of the bubble, which is the market awareness of this particular asset. In this case, Pokemon gained so much popularity, pretty much, put it that way. All right, and there was awareness of this market, and there was awareness that values started to climb, especially in the vintage market. Now, I particularly had vintage booster packs, sealed packs that I had bought at the beginning of 2020. And I was actually one of the stealthy investors. I actually bought in, and I sold out in the summertime. Now, yes, I could have held on to them for a little bit longer and made more money, but I doubled my money on most booster packs, which is still a very solid investment, and I'm happy with that. That was a safe investment. I had good returns, and that is what the first stage of the bubble is all about. It's the stealth. Those are the people that see an opportunity before everyone else. Now, next. So the market awareness, these people are aware, they're aware of the climbing values of these products, and more people start getting on board. Now what happens is, as more people get on board, prices start to climb because of this popularity and the shortage of products. As people are buying them up, there are less products left. Now stage 3 is where this comes in, and this is when things become a mess. This is the mania, this is the hype of this asset. So look what happened in the beginning of fall when Logan Paul came into the hobby. Prices of vintage went insane. It was unreal. We had so many very wealthy investors getting involved in this hobby. Prices shot up through the roof. So with stage 3 of a bubble, a lot of people feel the need that they have to jump on board right now before they miss this opportunity. That's what it's about. You jumping in, a lot of times uneducated even, you just jump in for this because you're scared of losing out on an opportunity. And this is very, very dangerous. These are the people that are actually going to lose the most money in a bubble when the market does crash, when the bubble does pop. Now, after stage 3, it comes to the blow off. This is when people start selling out and they start noticing market changes, slower sales, and what happens is, this mass unload of an asset is what's referred to as a bubble pop. Now, like I've discussed in my other video, I feel like parts of Pokemon is in a bubble, and there are parts that are natural and make sense. All right, and I still feel the same to this day. I feel like there are parts of the vintage market that don't make sense, that things will eventually start correcting themselves. And right now, we just need to all be patient, everyone. I understand vintage is out of reach for a lot of people, and I don't believe vintage will ever get down to the prices that they were before the pandemic. But I do feel like there's still room for correction. I feel that way because we are opening product. I might not be, you might not be, but there are people out there that have the money to open all this vintage products, such as bigger YouTubers, and the supply is being diminished. But you have to also understand that there really is a lot more of this out there than you actually realize. There are still, I'm sure, plenty of collections that have not been uncovered yet that might be sitting in storage units, someone's basement, someone's attic, that you don't even know about, we don't know about, media doesn't know about. So keep that in mind. Don't lose too much faith. There may be opportunities in the future to buy vintage. Just because the prices are out of reach right now doesn't mean they're going to always be out of reach. And that fear of being out of reach is actually one of the big things that drives and feeds a bubble. Invest cautiously. I always suggest, I always recommend to always invest on the safe side. Some of these products are very high risk, especially vintage. When you're buying in at a very high price like this, you're always going to have a very high risk. There wouldn't be a high reward if there wasn't a high risk. But with vintage aside, what's going on with modern product? So some people that have been in this hobby for a while before the pandemic and everything are really just flustered. They're disgusted with some of these prices, and I honestly don't blame you. I was a collector for a little while before the pandemic hit, and I've never had to pay some of these prices on modern products. It's a little bit insane, but there are some logical explanations behind this, and I don't believe it's a bubble. That's not the explanation for modern product being the way it is right now. What it comes down to is modern product always grew in value, okay? There was always growth in these assets. And what really actually happened was the growth just was accelerated because the product was bought up faster than it was before. And that's because we had a lot more people in the hobby now than we did then. So back a year and a half ago, we probably had maybe half the people that we have in the hobby, if not less than that right now. So just keep that in mind. So a pack of black and white base set, maybe about a year and a half ago, was going for about $10-15 maybe. Okay, right now, you could probably find one on eBay for about $60 to $70 ish. Okay, now, why is a pack of Unbroken Bonds, which just came out about late 2019, why is a pack of Unbroken Bonds about a $10 pack-ish right now versus back when a year and a half ago, black and white base set was, 2000, probably about 7 or 8 years old, whereas Unbroken Bonds was about 2 years old. And why are they at around the same price? Well, that is because the growth was accelerated. The supply was bought up a lot faster. The price has always been about the amount of supply available. That's how these products, these assets have always grown in the past, and it's how they always will grow. When you are diminishing this supply, the value of these products are always going to increase. That's why people invest in these products and hold on to them. They always say, everything is going to go up eventually. It's just whether or not how long you're willing to wait for it to go up. And these products, these booster boxes, they've seen their light right now, the light of day. People have started buying them up, and now they're becoming just as scarce as some of these older vintage booster boxes in some cases. And that is why the prices are the way they are. That is the logical explanation for why they are the way they are. The products that are coming off the printing press right now, the Shining Fates, the Battle Styles, why do you think they are marked up over MSRP? It's because we are, right from the release, we were short product. That is why the prices are the way they are. And that is the same thing with an out-of-print set. Your product is shorter, you have less of it than the newer stuff. That is why the prices of an out-of-print product is higher. I really hope this video was very insightful and helped you better understand the market and why prices are the way they are between vintage and modern. I appreciate the support, everyone, and as always, let's make like Charizard and keep this passion Burning.